Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Absolutely Podcast, the podcast specifically designed to help women defeat diet culture and live their dream healthy lifestyle. Today's episode, I am going to be talking about your summer body blueprint because if you in the past maybe have started working on your summer body in June, that is a failing strategy, as you probably know. And right now, March is literally the perfect time to start working on your health and fitness goals and put yourself in a really good position come summer with your health, with your body, with your confidence. And I'm going to be kind of breaking down that step by step process on how to do that and how to do it in the smartest, safest, and most sustainable way yet. So that way you actually have a lifestyle come summer and you're not beating yourself up for allowing another year to pass and to still be maybe feeling a little bit insecure in your summer body. So we will be going over that today. But before we go into that, I'm going to do a little weekly recap, go over my high of the week, my low of the week. And I also have a favorite of the week. So we're going to be going over all of that first before getting into the meat and potatoes of the episode. But I decided to do a little weekly recap because I feel like I had a lot of things that happened this last week that were all really fun and good things. So that's kind of be my rose for my high of the week segment of this week. So last week, I swear, was so busy, just like back to back things. Of course, I had work, and then it's nice because I can create my own hours with work. However, I feel like I just had like appointments for some reason. All my appointments collided into the same week, and so I like had to get my birthday nails done. I had to get my hair done. All this like the girl stuff. And I feel like my time was definitely spent with like doing that, which I mean, I'm happy I sound like that Kim Kardashian audio that's like, I have Nobu Friday or whatever it says on there. Like, that's how I feel when I talk about it. But just girl things, just wanting to look cute for my birthday this week. My birthday is on Wednesday. When you're listening to this, it's in 2 days. So wanted to feel extra cute and confident for that. And I'm in a golf tournament. So that will be really fun, but wanted to just make sure I was all prepared for the big event there. But this last week, I think like my highlight of the week was Thursday night. I hosted some friends over here at my new house. I have not hosted any friends here before. I wanted to make sure like I had furniture and was just ready and in the mood to host. And it was so much fun. We watched the Traitors finale, which if any of you watch Traitors, you know it was so good. At least I thought it was really good. And this season overall was a really like good, crazy season. And so I thought to myself, I was going to host a little Traitors party and have my friends over and have some wine and some charcuterie board. And so it was really fun. So I like got a giant spread of like veggies and hummus and dips and charcuterie stuff, and they came over and we had just like such a fun girls night. But that was definitely like my highlight of the week. It was super fun having people over here too for the first time officially, and just being able to just have a fun girls night. And I love like not going out anymore. Like going out for dinner is fine, but like I like now kind of just spending time at home, and I feel like watching a show is a great way to get friends together. And I love reacting to a show with people. It's just so much fun. So that was my Thursday. That was definitely like the highlight of my week. And then on Saturday, I had my birthday dinner with my family. I kind of had like a weird birthday schedule, I guess you could say, this year because on my actual birthday, I'm doing a golf tournament. So I wasn't going to be able to go to dinner that night. And I always love to do like a birthday dinner with just my immediate family. And so we did a early birthday dinner on Saturday, and it was so good. We went to Uchi in Old Town, Scottsdale. If you ever come here, you have to go. It's a sushi restaurant. It is absolutely phenomenal. If you do go there, I do recommend having the server recommend dishes for you, because if you just went there and you got like basic sushi, probably wouldn't like enjoy it that much. So we do like the server curated option, and it's really cool. It's also like just like such a fun experience because they bring over just like small plates throughout the night rather than you just like ordering a bunch of food at once. And so it's kind of like an experience. And in Old Town, the location there is just really like cool and trendy and whatever. So it was really good. They just have amazing fish and just overall vibe. So that was a really, really good time. And then I decided afterwards, and I had this going into the night, I was like, I want to go after to this other place and get a cocktail, specifically a Carajillo, because I wanted a Carajillo from this one place. And we went and we got the cardio. It was so good, but I had no business having that at like 9 p.m. It does have coffee in it. And we ended up just being out a little bit later than probably should have. But I always forget, like when you go out for someone's birthday, for some reason, people like to order you drinks. And I'm like, I need to go home. I need to go be in bed. But you know what? I thought celebration mode. I will celebrate. And that was like my also low of the week was the next day. I was so tired. Like just going to bed now after midnight literally kills me. I don't know what it is, but I guess, yeah, I am turning 28. So maybe that's what it is. And I know that's like still very young, but I am definitely feeling the effects of a late night a little bit more than usual. So I went golfing yesterday afternoon as well with some friends, and it was really fun. And I, though, was just like so tired from the night before, but that's what you get for going out on your birthday and having fun. It was honestly just like such a fun, silly night. We actually, this is the kind of a crazy story. This is my low. This is actually my low, not being tired. That's a lame low. This is my low. So I was ready to go home. I was done with the night. I call an Uber. I'm waiting. Literally, this Uber takes 30 minutes to get to the location where I'm at. I am like, okay, bye, leave. I go up to the window of the Uber and I say, Uber for Abby. And he looks at me like, no, I'm not your Uber. And I go and walk to the license plate. I already did that, but I did it again just to like make sure I wasn't in the wrong. Go look at the license plate. It was the license plate on my app. So I take my phone to him and show it, and he rolls up the window, cancels the ride, and drives away. I don't know what I did. Like I was not doing anything nefarious. I was not acting drunk, or I wasn't even really drunk. Like I don't know what was going on, but he did not want to have me in his car. And I was so mad. I have never, not never, but like very rarely do I have a Karen moment. I was fully like having a Karen moment. Like, why did he just roll up his window and drive away? It was so rude. And then I had to order another Uber again. Like that took 30 minutes. I was just so exhausted. My sister ended up ordering another one. And I literally just sat on the curb in my silk gown, my birthday gown, and just sat there. And that was definitely my thorn. That was so rude of him. I don't know why he thought he could do that, but that's what happened to me. That's what I get for trying to go home late. But we got into the next car, and the guy said that a lot of people do that because they'd rather just have people pay in cash at the end of the night or something, which is so weird because I didn't order like a scary Uber either. Like it was like an Uber Black. It was a night I wanted to treat myself for my birthday, okay? And that's what I get. So rude. So anyways, that was my low. And then my favorite of the week, I have been absolutely obsessed with Love Story on Hulu. I'm sure a lot of people are right now. It's the story of JFK and Carolyn Bessette. So good. It's just like the fashion, the vibes. It makes me want to go like live in the 90s and just be like a baddie in the a blonde baddie in the 90s. But I've all week been like impersonating Carolyn Bessette blonde, and I've realized I have like the same hair color as her. So how fun is that? It's a good time to be a blonde. I feel like there hasn't been like a good blonde character in a while, a strong blonde character in a movie. So I'm happy to be impersonating that method acting. Anyways, that is my favorite for this past week. And I think now let's get into the episode of your summer body blueprint. So I think first and foremost, we have to reframe what a summer body means, because I definitely hear language around wanting to be skinny for the summer, be snatched, or be lean. And of course, some of those words are good. And, you want to maybe be a little bit leaner for summer. But I think instead of having it be this like end goal of, oh, I want to get skinny for summer, that's probably going to be fleeting motivation. And instead, I kind of want you to think like, how can I be the healthiest version of myself by summer? Because a summer body does not mean that we're just going to shrink down to a tiny size. A summer body means that you are lean, you are toned, you are healthy, you have healthy habits, your digestion is good, you are balancing your lifestyle as well and not just completely cutting out social events and all the foods that you love to eat. Like, you want to have a good balance, especially when it comes to losing the weight, getting to a body composition that you really enjoy, and also being able to maintain that. We're not going to be crash dieting. We're actually engineering your dream body, and we're getting your dream body to a state where you could actually maintain that year round, because I can't even tell you how freeing it is to not be chasing a summer body. Like, I don't even remember the last time I thought to myself, like, oh, how can I shrink down for summer? Like, I'm just kind of perpetually in a maintenance slash maybe I do a little bit of a deficit, but I'm not doing it for the purpose of like, I need to shrink down for my summer body. I'm doing it more so because I think it's kind of a fun new goal and I want to challenge myself. And so, in order to get to a spot though where you're able to kind of maintain a lean physique year round, you really have to develop a lot of these healthy habits anyway. And so we'll kind of talk about how we are going to do that. And basically, there are 5 different ways and different strategies that we can use in order to be able to maintain and get to this lean and toned physique. But first of all, I want to talk about like why March specifically is the best time of the year in order to get to this dream body of yours, quote unquote, because a lot of people, they get to June and they panic and realize, wow, I just spent another year dilly-dallying. Maybe I'm up 10 pounds from last year. Maybe I have put myself into a bad state metabolically or hormonally, and you panic. And by June, you don't really have a lot of time to set up yourself for success. Whereas in March, you have March, April, May, and you shouldn't look at that as, oh, I have so much time. I can keep pushing this off. Like, if you start right now, you will be so glad that you did, because it's going to set you up for success for the rest of the year. Basically, when it comes to like timeline wise, you have basically 12 to 16 weeks before summer hits. So sustainable fat loss is typically between half a pound to 1 pound per week. So we can lose maybe like 10 to 15 pounds by summertime, which is a big gap in an area where a lot of people want to lose around 10 to 15 pounds. And that would be like a sustainable calorie deficit. You don't want to just do some dramatic like cut or fat loss phase in June, because that's going to really put you into a poor spot metabolically. And so we want to make sure that you do have enough time. And so time is our friend, especially if you do start in March, because like think about doing like a 6-week panic cut or like a 4-week panic deficit where we're really, really low on calories. Like, you're probably just going to gain that weight back plus some and really not look or feel your best for summer, which is not the vibe that we want to go for this hot girl summer over here. And then also, your hormones metabolism like gradual change. You don't need to go into some dramatic calorie deficit or do some crazy lifestyle change. You actually have some time to slowly implement these habits if you do start now. Whereas if you start in June, you're probably going to have to do all these habits right at once. And that can be really hard to change your lifestyle all at once. And so it's going to probably feel a little bit more calm to start this phase in March rather than to start this phase in May and be like, shoot, I don't have enough time now to slowly ease these things into my life. And honestly, like, the May spiral is so real. If you think in like maybe right now you're kind of uncomfortable in your body, but you're like, you know what? I have time. Then April comes around, you're like, okay, now I definitely need to like tighten up a little bit more, tone up a little bit more. May, you maybe panic and slash your calories. Then June, you're over restricting because you're now slashing your calories. Maybe you're not seeing results in time, so you start to over restrict. And then July, you're just gaining all the weight back. August, you're starting over, and then you're just continuing this cycle and spiral into the holidays. And it's just not a good situation. So this blueprint is going to set up the solution to be able to avoid that cycle that maybe a lot of you have experienced. I know I definitely have in the past. And also too, just time of year wise, March is a very convenient time for a lot of people, because March, your kids are typically in school, or maybe you have a little bit slower of a work season. I know everyone's a little bit different, but March still has like a little bit of structure. That your travel hasn't peaked in the summer. You're not drinking maybe as much because it's maybe like a little bit cold where you're at. I don't know. I feel like March is a good time to start. It's kind of that middle ground. If it's not like the very beginning of the year, it's of course like not approaching summer. It kind of gives you a little bit of time to lock in, and you're really setting that foundation and allowing yourself a good amount of time to be able to set that foundation in place. So let's kind of talk about these 5 pillars, like I kind of mentioned before, of 5 pillars for your summer body. And I think that this is really important because if we can kind of dumb things down and make it super simple, it's a lot easier to be able to stick to rather than being like, I need to completely slash my calories. I need to go to the gym 5 days a week. Like, we don't need to be doing it all. All we need to do is make these small changes. And starting in March, you will have the time to do this and you will have the time to see fantastic results without going to extremes. So, pillar one is going to be focusing on protein first. If you can simply have protein at every single meal, you're going to put yourself in a really good spot metabolically and also kind of curbing some of your cravings. Obviously, protein too is very important for lean muscle gain, which is of course what you want when it comes to a summer bod, is not only to feel leaner but also to feel more, because if you just get smaller, you probably won't feel like how you want to feel. Whereas if you lose a little bit of body fat and gain a little bit of muscle, like that is how you are actually going to want to feel. And so when it comes to protein, kind of a rule of thumb is 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. If you are someone that needs to lose a pretty good amount of weight, you can kind of base that body weight number off of like what your goal weight would be. But I would say 1 gram per pound of body weight is really good for most people. And this will stabilize hunger. It'll, of course, help you to build muscle. And I just really feel like it is something that helps, of course, with like the blood sugar regulation, which will, of course, help with your hunger levels. But it just is a really good, of course, thing to focus on. And it's a really easy thing to focus on when it comes to nutrition, because a lot of people, they get to that like month or two before summer and they panic and they like start not eating anything. Whereas if you, instead of doing that, just say, okay, I'm going to focus on eating protein a little bit more, you'll probably find yourself less hungry and maybe eating less calories and eating less things that aren't super advantageous to your goals. And so it's a really easy fix and thing to do, if you're not doing it already, to be fueling your body properly for these goals. Pillar number 2 is strength training 3 to 4 times per week. A lot of people, they think that they need to do a ton of cardio before summer, when in reality, strength training is going to be your best friend for not only gaining lean muscle tone, but this also boosts your metabolism. And it's also really great for fat loss because of that. So it is for sure a win-win-win situation, especially if you start in March. That gives your body a few months to actually build muscle tone. It takes time to build muscle. And if we are panicked trying to build muscle, it's not going to work. Like, muscle is something that is hard to build. It takes time to build. And a few months gives your body a really great amount of time to be able to start seeing those muscles peek through and to start actually seeing those body recomposition changes. And instead of like just going into a calorie deficit and not eating a lot of food and really just getting to like a smaller version of yourself, you're actually going to start to build that lean muscle tone, which is actually easier to see. And you'll look leaner at maybe a higher body fat percentage in theory. So it is a really great thing to incorporate. And like I said, 3 to 4 times per week. If you're going to do it 3 times per week, I'd probably do 1 upper, 1 lower session, and then 1 full body. If you're going to do it 4 times per week, I do 2 lower and 2 upper. And make sure you're following a program that has progressive overload and a program that is not changing every single week. You want to stick to the same program for 6 to 8 weeks at a time. Honestly, most of my clients are like 4 to 6 weeks, just because they kind of like to switch it up a little bit. But if you're switching up your workouts every single week, don't be complaining to me if you're not seeing your results. Like, the reason why you're not probably seeing results is because you are switching up your training to normally. So we want to make sure that you are doing your strength training workouts for at least 4 weeks, utilizing progressive overload, meaning upping your weights every week or upping your reps and making sure you're challenging yourself. And of course, eating protein like I talked about in pillar 1. And then pillar 3 is also going to be a movement pillar, but it's going to be focusing on steps versus trying to do a ton of cardio. When it comes to overall activity and just caloric expenditure, basically what it comes down to is your food and then your output, so your activity level. And we want to make sure if you want to lose body fat that you are eating less than you are burning. Where a lot of people think, okay, I need to do a lot of cardio to kind of make this calorie deficit. That's probably not the best thing to do for your goals. I would say really focusing on a step goal is a great place to start because it's not going to be super stressful on your body. And as we know, with stress, fat loss is going to be a lot harder when your body is in a very stressed out state. So I do recommend, if you're right now potentially not tracking steps, track your steps, kind of see where your steps are at, and then add 2,000 to it. You don't need to do anything crazy, but even an extra 2,000 steps per day will be enough to start the needle moving forward. And again, if we're starting in March versus starting in June, you have a little bit more time to slowly titrate those steps up. And so I would say 8 to 12K steps is a really good amount. I do have clients though that are like at that 6K range or 7K range, but I would say most people, I would say being in that 8+ range is a good way to do it. And if you are going to do cardio, don't do any crazy cardio, maybe add in a few 15-minute sessions. Like there is no reason to go 0 to 100. I would way rather have you do a really solid strength training session 3 times per week and use your time for that than use your time for cardio. And then getting steps in can be something as easy as going for a couple of walks per day or hopping on your walking pad. I know a lot of people have walking pads nowadays, or just being smart about your activity throughout the day, like getting up every hour, maybe if you work in an office and going to the bathroom, maybe doing a lap around your office or parking farther at the grocery store. Like all of these things really do add up, and we don't realize how sedentary we are throughout the day. And us humans are not meant to be sedentary. It's so good for your digestion and so good for your heart health, of course, to be moving throughout the day. And so I really recommend setting a step goal. It creates that awareness for you, and it's not something that has to be looked at as this like just really stressful, like obsessive thing. Steps are going to help you feel better mentally. They're going to make you feel better physically, and not focusing so much about like, I need to hit 10K or I'm a worthless human being. I'm not saying to think about yourself in that way, but if you focus on it as something that is going to like motivate you and be good for your health, I think that it's a good way to do it. And I will say, like, having a step goal for me, I don't necessarily obsess over it because it's something that I know makes me feel really good. And I'm not doing it from the space of like, oh, I need to burn all these calories. So doing my 10K steps, like I do my 10K steps so that way I can feel like the best version of myself. It clears my head. It helps my mental health. It helps my digestion, and overall just helps literally everything. Like I could not recommend steps more, and not just because I do steps, but because there's a lot of research as well that steps are very important for all of those things that I mentioned. And then pillar number 4, I know we talked about protein. I know we talked about a couple workout situations here, but moderate calorie deficit. So if your goal is to lose body fat specifically, you are definitely going to want to incorporate pillar 4. And the good thing is that starting in March, we don't need to go into this crazy deficit. I would honestly start out by going into maybe like a 200 to 300 calorie deficit and seeing how your body responds. We do not need to right out of the gate go into a 500 calorie plus deficit. I know MyFitnessPal is a very slippery slope where it calculates your calories and it says, hey, do you want to lose 1 pound per week? Do you want to lose 2 pounds per week? And I don't think anyone has ever selected 1. Everyone always wants to lose 2. And yeah, in theory, it's like great. In the day and age of GLP-1s and seeing people lose weight really quickly, it can feel very tempting to want to just jump to lose 2 pounds per week. But I promise you, losing a pound per week, you're going to be way less miserable with your diet. You're going to have more calories to work with. You're going to have more energy. It's going to be very beneficial long-term for your hormones and your metabolism. And you're going to have more longevity within your fat loss journey if you do like a 1 pound per week fat loss rate. And again, this is not me like promoting MyFitnessPal. I think that you should actually calculate your own deficit or have someone like me who is a professional calculate a deficit, because I remember just like jumping into MyFitnessPal and trying to do a deficit when I was younger and just using their calories. And let me tell you, it did not work for many reasons, but number one reason is that it wasn't taking into account what my start point was. It didn't know my metabolism. It didn't know my hormones. And it made it really hard in order to stick to because it was such low calories. My body could like barely survive. So I would say starting out with like a 1 to 200 calorie deficit, no crash dieting, no going super low. I think that that's a good place to start. And again, like this is a sustainable plan. This is not going to be something that we're just crash dieting for summer. We're actually going to be able to keep it off long term. So we want to make sure it's something that is moderate and not too extreme. And then pillar number 5 is going to be focusing on stress management and sleep. So sleeping 7 hours per night at least is going to be your best friend. We want to make sure we are getting quality and quantity of sleep. When it comes to fat loss, a lot of people overlook sleep because it's not like the sexy part of the fitness journey, whereas diet and exercise are kind of cool and fun and trendy. Sleep is not cool or fun or trendy. However, it is something that is so important to be able to see the results that you want to see. So 7 hours per night, non-negotiable. And then also I would say incorporating something to do with self-care every single day is really important. I know for a lot of my clients that are busy moms or busy working moms or busy working, traveling, having a lot of things, like literally just 5 minutes per day of box breathing or meditation, journaling, reading the Bible, doing something for yourself will really help with stress management. And I know that it's really easy to put yourself on the back burner and say, oh, that doesn't really matter that much. Let me tell you, it 100% matters. And if you are not taking care of your nervous system, the last thing your body is going to want to do is lose fat and tone up. It's actually going to revolt against you. And so I'm not saying this from a space of trying to scare you. I'm saying it from a space of motivation that it is important. And I spent way too many years thinking it was kind of woo-woo. And I'm like, you know what? No, it doesn't matter. It does matter. I can firsthand say it does matter, not only from my own journey, but from clients' journeys as well. I've had clients that maybe have been stuck on the scale for a while, and we say, okay, let's do a full like kind of nervous system deep dive. Let's pull back on working out. Let's pull back on XYZ. Let's sleep a little bit more. And that's what makes them lose weight. So it is real, and it is something that you can't outwork. You have to make sure that you are keeping into consideration your nervous system and your sleep. Sleep is so important. So I want to talk about a few things that you should not do. I think I've already expressed a few things that we should not do, but I think it's important to go over some more things that we should not do. And these are all things that I have personally done in the past or seen clients do in the past. Number 1, 1,200 calorie plans, being on a strict meal plan. Doing this is not going to be sustainable. Please do not do it. Let's instead get to the root of what's going on. Let's restore your relationship with food, and let's go into a sustainable calorie deficit. 1,200 calories is so out, and mindful and not restricted deficits are so in. Number 2, do not do detox teas. Do not take crazy supplements that claim to detox your body. You do not need these. They are actually scams a lot of times. If you do need a detox tea and you're my client, I can help talk to you about taking a detox tea, but I would rather someone do like liver support and stuff like that to detox. Most detox teas are really just going to make you go to the bathroom, which yes, like you do detox, but if you're not going to the bathroom every single day, there's probably a deeper problem that we need to address anyway. So no detox teas, no detox supplements. Do not fall victim to that. Number 2, or number 3 is 2-a-days. 2-a-days for workouts. We don't need to be doing that either. I know 75 hard was/is a big thing. I personally don't think that you need to do 75 hard to see results, but 2-a-day workouts, we don't want to stress out your body that much and do that. And then number 4 is cutting out carbs entirely, or cutting out any sort of food group entirely. We need protein, we need carbs, we need fats in order to survive, especially as women, and to have balanced hormones. Actually, carbs are your body's preferred energy source. And I know it can seem really easy to cut out carbs and to lose fat from that, but as women, your body actually needs carbs in order to survive and in order to have really healthy functioning hormones. And so carbs and fats, we cannot cut those super low. That's why I'm saying having a high protein calorie deficit is the way to go, and not cutting out all of this stuff. And then the next thing kind of goes hand in hand is I'll just eat super clean and not have any of my favorite foods. Like that's probably for most people just going to lead to a binge, or having all of these foods in excess, or just completely kind of up and quitting one day because you're so burned out. I think that instead we should focus on like an 80-20 approach or a 90-10 approach of most of your foods being whole nutrient dense foods, but not beating yourself up if you want to go out to eat, or if you go on a trip, or if you want to have a little like nightly, like evening dessert, like that's okay as well. And I think that it's really important to recognize, like, for instance, over the past 6 months or so that I've been on this gut health journey, I have been eating like almost all whole foods. But if I go out to eat, if I have a night out where I maybe go to my parents' house and I'm not in control of my food, like I'm not going to beat myself up for that. I'm going to enjoy the food. I'm going to move on. I'm going to get right back into my healthy routine the next day. Because if anything is too extreme, like it's literally not going to last. It's not going to last till July. It's not going to last through the summer. It's going to cause you to gain all the weight back. So instead, we want to make sure that we are being very mindful of that and having that 80-20 approach, which I find works a lot better for most people there. And so if you are someone that likes to kind of layer on these habits, I think that this could be also a good game plan for you. And like 4 weeks, I'll kind of give you like a little bit of a laid out strategy on what those 4 weeks could look like. So week 1, maybe we're just tracking your protein and we're tracking your steps. Like that would be a really great place to start. And again, like you could start this today and go through April, and you probably would see great progress. So week 1, maybe we're tracking protein, we're getting some steps in. Then week 2, maybe we're adding in some structured lifts. So we're doing 3 lifts per week on top of the last 2 that we had. Week 3, maybe we're tightening our calories up a little bit more, or we are going into a little bit of a deficit, or we're kind of being a little bit more strategic with your calories. And then week 4, maybe we're evaluating the scale trend. We're kind of seeing what's going on as far as how your clothes are fitting, how you're doing. And maybe we're amping up a little bit. Maybe we're increasing your steps a little bit. Maybe we go up to 4 workouts per week. Maybe we go a little bit more down on calories, but nothing too insane. I think that that would be a really solid 4-week plan to just make sure that you're not doing this in a way that's burning you out, or doing it where you're kind of just going to extremes like you have done in the past, which obviously we know doesn't work. And pretty much that is your summer body blueprint. This is something I've been helping women out with for years. So if you are in the market and you want someone to help you out with a strategic plan and one that actually works for your hormones, your metabolism, even getting some testing done if you do feel like you are just kind of experiencing some mysteries as well with your health, that is definitely I'm a safe space for that as well, and I would love to help you out. So I'll have my coaching link in the episode description as well if you want to do that. But I hope you all enjoyed this episode thoroughly and learned something from it, or have been taking away kind of some things that we can incorporate before summer to feel the healthiest, best version of yourself. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you on next week's episode. Bye.